So Stormforce got in touch again and they said, we liked your video that you did before, so we want you to do another one, but this time with an AMD processor and AMD GPU. I'm Team Red, Manchester United, Team Green, Boston Celtics. It doesn't matter, this is an entirely red machine. So, AMD, Stormforce, another pre-built, let's do this. So what we've got, paperwork, free Xbox Game Pass. Oh, Game Pass for PC for a month, nice. Well, it's a free trial, I mean, you can do that anywhere. $200 Steam voucher, prize draw, cables. Oh my God, this bag is so awkward. It's got your warning, it comes with some sort of packaging. So this packaging that it ships with, I absolutely love, because when you take it out, you can see how it like perfectly fits around all the components and protecting them really, really well. Look at that. I mean, you can even see indentation on the bag there of how well it fits around the fans on your GPU. You know, that is really, really amazing protection for your brand new PC. So let's have a look, what's it got in it? So I can see a 6700 XT, we like that card. It's got Corsair Vengeance, it's not the Vengeance Pro, it's just the regular Vengeance, but it's a 3200, DDR4, 3200 megahertz. We've got a Cooler Master, it's just a one fan, 120mm fan cooler. I do like the Cooler Master AIOs though, I think they're pretty cool. I do prefer a two fan one, so the ones that have the 220mm. There's got a 5600X in there, which is 6 cores, 12 threads, and I actually really rate the 5600X. I think it's, although when the 5000 series first came out, which was what, October, November last year, this was like the cheapest one. There was this and the 5700X, and for me, the 5700X wasn't that much of an upgrade to justify the extra expense. I actually, within those two models, I actually preferred the 5600X. The 6700 XT is not one of the top-end GPUs from AMD, but it's got 12 gigabytes of VRAM. To put that into context against NVIDIA, the 3080 Ti, which has just been released, is 12 gigabytes of VRAM, and that's their second to best card, one of their top end cards. This is not one of AMD's top end cards, but it's got the same amount of VRAM. So what does that mean? It means that, you know, arguably on certain games, because you've got more VRAM, it means you can load more textures, you can do modding if you want to, take advantage of all that VRAM. It just means that you've got more room to load memory heavy settings into the GPU, so that when you're gaming, you get a slightly better immersive experience. So what else have we got in here? What motherboard is that? Is it B550M? B550M motherboards, you know, pretty standard. It's also got a WD Blue SSD. Yeah, that's good. 500 gigabytes of storage. So the thing about only having 500 gigabytes, yeah, you get your OSD on there, you'll get a few games on there, but you know, for example, if you want to play something like Call of Duty Warzone, I think that's like 128 gigs. So there's almost a quarter of all your storage just used on one game. So, you know, if you're playing titles, something like CSGO, which is about 20 gigs, if you've got plenty of those sorts of titles, that's fine. But if you want to play titles like your Call of Duties, like your AAA titles, you're soon going to run out of storage with only 500 gigabytes. For me, I would have liked to have seen a terabyte, or, I mean, 2 terabytes is probably a bit too expensive for this sort of machine, but I would have liked to have seen a terabyte of memory in there. We do have expandability with your memory though. There's 4 SATA plugs that I can see, so you can put another SSD in there as well. It won't be an M.2 SSD, it'll be a SATA SSD that you just plug the cable in there. There's no other M.2 slots in here. There's no sockets for any more M.2, so you can't upgrade that way. You either have to replace the storage you have or add more SATA storage. With the RAM, we've got 2 8GB sticks, so it is dual channel. There is room to expand there as well. There's 2 additional slots in there. So, you know, again, with this motherboard, the B550M, it's kind of basic, but it does everything that you need it to do. 16 gigs of RAM at 3200 megahertz is kind of perfect for gaming. You don't really need much more than that. If you're going to be doing some video editing, if you're going to be doing some more intensive tasks, you probably want 3600 megahertz. But 32 is absolutely fine for gaming. And if you do want to do other tasks and stuff like that as well, you do have the additional slots there as well, so you can add more RAM or you can upgrade your RAM to whatever you need it to be. To bit plasticky at the front. Okay, once you take this stuff off as well, you can kind of see that it's got your very, very fine mesh at the front to stop any dust from getting in there as the fans are pulling all the air in. But it does only have like this side and this side for pulling air in. Me personally, I'm like a big airflow fan. I want to make sure I've got loads of airflow going through my machine to keep it nice and cool. I would have liked to, I mean, for me, I would have liked to have seen some mesh on the front as well to get really good airflow there, but it's not a deal breaker, it's just whatever you prefer. I.O. at the front, got 2 USB 3 sockets there, which that's decent to be honest. Headphones, microphone, I'm assuming that's a reset switch and then your on button as well. And then let's take a look on this side. Oh, you know what? Stormforce are really, really good at cable management. I've got to hand it to them. Every time I take the back panel off a Stormforce machine and look at the cable management, I'm always pretty impressed, to be honest. Oh, okay, it's only got a 650 watt PSU. You know what? Again, it's kind of just exactly what you need to power this machine. If you did get a different motherboard and you wanted to do some overclocking, or if you got a different GPU in the future that was going to draw more power, you'd probably need to upgrade that PSU. However, for this particular machine, it's just exactly what you need. It's cable tied everything really, really well. It's just not messy at all, is it? It's really, really nice. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this thing on and let's see how it performs. So I'm going to test this out in some games. I am playing in 1440p as that's the native resolution of my monitor. But if you want a full benchmark where we do 1080, 4040 and 4K, there'll be a separate benchmarking video, which you can see here. Let's start with Doom Eternal, one of my favorites. Doom does run really, really well on most machines. And at 1440p, I don't think that this is going to have any issues at all running Doom Eternal. So let's see what it does in terms of FPS, temperatures, all that cool kind of stuff. I've not actually come into any action yet, but here we go. What, 220 odds, 267 average. Now I've come into some action, it has dropped down quite a bit. I've not played Doom in so long, but I do love this game, it's so much fun. See ya. So Ultra Nightmare settings, average frame rate of 266 FPS, that's with 1440p. And you know what, in terms of the cooler, temperatures 56 degrees. I have only just started, 56 degrees on your GPU, sorry, 69, 70 degrees on your CPU, which is kind of like normal for gaming. I have just started. I imagine once you get into a 10-hour game session, they'll go up a little bit, but that's fine, that's really good. So we're on Horizon Zero Dawn. Obviously everyone loves this game who's played it. It looks absolutely gorgeous. Everything's in ultra settings, 1440p again. That's the native resolution of this monitor. And we're looking at the moment at about 75 FPS. I mean, I'm not really doing any combat. You know what, the one thing about this game is it just does look really, really good. I do love Horizon Zero Dawn. Like I said, this isn't necessarily a very combat intensive area of the game, but we are getting like 75 FPS. You know, for me personally, 60 FPS is kind of the minimum that I'm looking for. All right, so I'm in Resident Evil Village, and again 1440p. You know what, I'm inside a hut. It looks kind of cool. There's some blood dripping down, that's horrifying. We're in 144 FPS right now. I'm pretty sure when I go out of here I'm going to get chased by, oh my god, half my hand's missing, by a werewolf. Plays really like Resident Evil 7, to be fair. Looks just, whoa, what are you? But we're at 136 FPS after a little bit of the old shooting werewolves. Oh, criminy, I've run out of, run, run! There's werewolves everywhere. So I guess one of the things that you could take advantage of with this machine is because it's a Ryzen CPU, Ryzen GPU, it's smart access memory. It's an alt AMD system, and you'll also have availability of the Fidelity FX, the new DLSS AMD version of that I've not properly tested yet, but I read is going to be very, very good. So I'm really excited to see how that turns out. But right now I'm on Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Probably do this in like another game. So far, so good, to be honest. Everything's been played in 1440p. Nothing's dropped below 60 FPS. The lowest we've had was like 75-ish that was in Horizon Zero Dawn. You know what? I can't fault this machine at all. The only big issue so far has just been how noisy it is. Straight into some action, fighting some geezer. Didn't realise we were in this part of the game and I just went running in. 80 FPS. It's pretty good for 1440p, you know, because this, yeah, with these AAA titles, they are very intensive. So to be getting, you know, 81 FPS out of Assassin's Creed Valhalla with a 6700 XT, which isn't even their top-end card. That, you know, there's 6900s and 6800 cards out there. I think this is doing pretty well, to be honest. I'm not going to play 4K right now, but I'd probably say that this isn't a 4K machine just because it has got the 5600X and the 6700 XT. It's not for 4K, but for 1440p, it's doing really well. So far in terms of gameplay, it's doing really, really well. Really sort of impressed with some of the numbers that I'm getting. We will do, like I said, a full benchmark video where we test different resolutions and stuff. You can head over to WePC Benchmarks to go see that. But what I'm going to do now is I want to see how noisy those fans are. Give me a sec. So I'm just doing some temperature tests. You can see I've got the temperature control here. It's got two probes, one that stays outside, which is this one, which tells me the temperature of the room. And then I've got one just kind of in the front of the case that tells me the ambient temperature inside the case. So inside the room, sorry, it's like 23.8 degrees, so pretty warm day today. Inside the case at the front where the fans are, we're looking at 25.3 degrees, which is pretty good. Let me check the back. So this is at the back, just above the GPU, kind of halfway between the CPU and the exhaust fan. And we're looking at, it's still rising, 29-ish degrees. Like, it does fluctuate a little bit, obviously it's next to a fan. But somewhere between 29 and 30 degrees inside the case. So the reason we've got two different temperatures in there is right at the front of the case, you've got all the cold air being pulled in through the three fans here, and more towards the back, you've got all the heat from things like your GPU that's gathering there and getting sucked out of your exhaust. So there's always going to be a little bit of difference in temperature, but I think that, you know, just a couple of degrees, yeah, pretty good. There seems to be some good positive air pressure in there. And, you know, it's only really a few degrees hotter than the room itself. We have only been using it for about an hour or so, not loads and loads of time. But yeah, in terms of heat and everything there, really good. We saw on the benchmarks that actually the cooler, the AIO cooler, is doing its job. So yeah, nothing to worry about there, really good. So right now it's saying 32. I still think that's fine. So I did take a reading of the room with everything turned off, and it was about 39. If I stay quiet and I just point this at the machine, so we're looking at about 45 decibels, which isn't terrible. But now let me turn a game on. So Dirt 5, let's turn that on. So I don't know if you can hear that screeching through my microphone. Yeah, it's kind of noisy, this machine. It genuinely is. And it may just be that we've got a bit of a duff fan in here, but we have to take it at face value. This is the one that we've received. So yeah, I've just turned off Dirt 5 and it's just instantly stopped. So whatever it is, the extra load that's going through your CPU, GPU, whatever it is that's happening when you load up a game, it's just making like a screeching sound. It's not great. So if you've just watched the review, you'll know that although I was impressed with the system as a whole, there was the problem of the noisy fan. So what I did, got in contact with Stormforce and said, look, you can't really be sending customers PCs with noisy fans in them. What they said was, obviously that's a problem, but every single system does come with your 3-year collect, repair and return warranty. So if you do get a system like ours, as what they said to me is usually that doesn't happen. Something's gone wrong. They shouldn't have sent it to us. We should have got a machine that's not noisy. And I do believe them. But what they said was that most customers, the absolute vast majority, if not all customers, that won't happen to them. If it does, you do have the protection of your 3-year warranty, which I think is quite cool. I think it's quite nice that they come and collect it. They will repair it and then they return it to you. It's just a really good customer service thing that I thought was worth mentioning at the end of the video, because kind of that's the feedback that they gave to me. So with this particular Stormforce build, The thing that I like about Stormforce is they do have a very, very good build quality and a very, very good attention to detail. It's a very, very gamer-focused machine. There is some expandability, some upgradability in the future, but everything that's in there is kind of just perfectly set up for this machine to be a gaming machine. The AIO, actually, I thought the AIO was maybe a little bit too small, but now I've done a little bit of gameplay. It actually performed really, really, really well. Very impressed with just a single fan, 120mm fan AIO there. For me though, you know what, it's still definitely worth the money, even just for the fact that it's got a brand new CPU and a brand new GPU in it. Trying to find these just out in the wild in the open market, it would be so difficult, and you'd probably end up paying twice as much. Definitely seen other PC builders who've massively raised their prices, and then they're selling on places like eBay, they're selling on places like Amazon, and everything's just inflated, and it's not really fair on gamers. I think Stormforce are being very fair with their choice of components and also the way they've priced them. Yeah, it's a very, very good pre-built. I highly rate it. So if you want to see this AMD Stormforce build, click on the link in the description. It'll take you directly to Stormforce's website. Please subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and let me know what you think in the comments.